yesterday, it still made me pretty excited to see them bounce back. I think overall, like, the performances were good. It was just that Rebels were solid on this map.
Yeah.
But from what we haven't seen much of Big, I'd say, over like VCT over on here. And the thing that we did see was a pretty dominant win over Na'Vi recently as well. It's the last time that Big played it. So despite this not really being a map that Big play all that often or want to play in particular, their form on it is not too shabby at all. So that's something that Surreal have to respect. And
yes,
yeah, Obnox over on that chamber was really popping off in the last time that we saw them.
It's a dangerous thing you're doing right now, Ryan. You're giving Zesht hope. And we all know that is a very bad thing. But here we are nonetheless. Surreal going to be putting some pressure towards B early in this pistol, sending the Owl drone around the corner of JJ, clearing out towards yellow. Aslan further back, playing with default, actually trying to steal away and kill to open things up. Just couldn't quite do it. Ends up taking damage himself. So wall goes up. It's that horizontal wall to get the easy plant down. And now the problem becomes for Big retaking this.
There is a lot of stuff that they can do towards Snowplow, but this toxic screen, this almost horizontal one again, just means that it's very difficult to go for these wide peaks. Obnox is going to go for it. Is out of range to actually teleport, but the Headhunter finds that first kill.
Yeah, big kill there from Obnox, finding some good impact. Got to be able to follow up too, and now, well, 2 advantage. Suddenly pulled back by Surreal. In fact, Alpha on the Nano Swarm and Rians to the classic headshot are really making this a scrappy affair the first round of play. Casper tries to get onto him, but Rians again out with a tap. Twistin trades it back. Defuse being stuck. It's around the half wall. They can't do much about it. And Big will steal it away. The defuse is close and it's pulled all the way in. And Big just hold it behind the wall.
It just seemed that one wall was enough to cause chaos for Surreal. It was a nice sort of setup that they had with the toxic screen and the barrier orb that comes in for Surreal. But as soon as it gets used on the other side, look at the minimap, how quickly they start to scramble on this attack to close in that distance. And Rians, despite being the one that's like the closest in for these fights, is the one that ends up doing the most damage in the post plan.
Yeah, this shot, it was ridiculous. A little fadeaway as he dropped in behind the ice wall again, but nonetheless a good start here for Big. And now we look to Surreal on their purchase run. They've come back into things. This is a buy to get excited about.
Oh yeah, they're both actually like forced up a little bit. We've got B just on that Bulldog. The rest of the team actually holding on. The buy is actually better for Surreal because they forced up, so this is really odd. Yeah, this is one of those weird situations, but Twistin has actually come out with one copy able to hold, so Big nonetheless with a weaker purchase perhaps to still come out on top of the initial fights, down to the 2v4 thanks to Alpha's pick, but they have left behind the spike in the battlefield. With no smokes, it's going to be really hard to get into that spot. It's really a case of trying to get the kills now more than anything. Obviously, trying to clear off the CJ, and it might allow a bit of space for JJ to slip on through to the high ground. But look at this angle that Gobby's playing from. Oh, it's just narrow enough that he doesn't quite spot the movement.
Yeah, 50 seconds right now for Surreal to weasel their way through to this site. As they can wet out this wall, but even then, it's going to reveal a couple of players. You have got utility at the ready here for Gobby on the recon dart. It's just hard to see how this one's going to go in favor of Surreal. To send the recon bolt in, but they've now been spotted and now trying to leap towards the side. If they can get away with a plan, that would be incredible. And then that looks unlikely, and JJ, awkward engagement between him and Casper, but neither of the players have actually gone down here somehow. Finally, that shock dart will find its victim, and a kill pull back for Surreal. Not only that, but the spike is down as well. Keep eyes on the flank though, Ryan.
Last player standing.
Oh yeah, like JJ now has it all to do with a 1 versus 3 wrapped around in all different areas. And Aslan, not only do I like the flank, I like the fact that because he has that toxic screen set up, like the retake, he knows I need to not die here. I'm just going to play off of it as passively as possible. Yeah. Let my teammates do the work. I can put up the toxic screen whenever I want. And then just decides to go in for the flank and catch him in behind. Like I can almost hear the sighs of Zesht watching that, by the way. Like, it's just the sigh of relief that Big pull it off, I'm sure. But yeah. I got to say, though, because Aslan has been that player that's moved away from the duelist role to allow for Twistin, I do like Aslan on controllers. I think he's a really solid player, and he looks the best when he's on the Astra when he was before the Omen and the Viper. So shout out to him. It's usually we're going to talk huge accolades about Twistin, but it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Aslan being flexible enough to move over.
Whoa, what a shot. Alpha here, just straight to the headshot of the Sheriff. Gobby will reply in kind. But now we look towards the Surreal play forward. Dividing 4 of their forces. In fact, every remaining player now trying to leap their way towards this B site, but smartly so. Big have decided to use some range. I've got the advantage when it comes to that range with better weapons. And looking to close down that disadvantage with utility are Surreal. So Toxic Screen goes up, and now the fight into the mix. It's Obnox and Aslan with a couple between them. It puts just Masic and Jailurst into this round, but it's not unwinnable here at all for Surreal. They actually have a shot at picking this one up. Jailurst unfortunately gets caught inside of the Toxic Cloud, and now Masic looking to do something with the Marshall, but Aslan denies any mercy. 3-0 start here for Big.
A good eco, all things considered. And God B, again, is just always in a position to trade off of his teammates dying. He is all across the map. And congratulations, Paul. You've
Paul.
done a real good job.
Woo!
Real good job this month.
Yep. Car as well. Shout out to you, whoever you are.
You know, the stakes are high. And less talking, more doing. And Paul talks less, dude more.
He just does more, yeah. It feels like he's the only employee here on this IceBox. So, good job, Paul. Keep it up. But nonetheless, Viper's Pit going to be sent out immediately for Big in this round. They know they're going up against the buy. And that Viper's Pit is going to make things a little difficult.
Even just the way that it's set up, and Twiston able to actually sneak in up to the high ground of Nest. He is in a beautiful position, but Rian's sort of expects him. But it's so hard at this point, and Aslan might take the attention away.
Yeah,
this is a great setup for Big.
Now Rians goes up, not expecting Twiston at all to be there. And that's another easy kill.
This is that full buy coming in for Surreal again after they forced for round 2. So it is very important they pick up on the board. They're also not too far away from having ultimates, and Alfajir is going to actually beat the timing on the Eldron. If he looks left, he'll be able to get God B, but he's going for that kill on the right first and switches around. That's so good. He has that lockdown and an open A site now to plan on.
Yeah, 2v2, 43 seconds left, and this moment in time looking a little rough for Big, but we'll see if they can figure their way into this. The spike is actually transitioning away from A. It could get caught in middle, but
the trademark though.
Luckily, they
30
walk it
seconds
away.
left.
The right-hand side, if he's not careful, he doesn't get picked up by it. He's able to get in behind. He is running rings around what Big are doing right now. But that trademark is actually going to not give away, actually, that position. There it is. It's cleared up now, so the rotate's going to come in, and Alfajir is in the perfect position. He gives it up. Plays the safer option. He knows that playing in a 2v2 here is important, especially with the lockdown. And one ult orb away from having a Viper's Pit.
There goes lockdown. Just going to try and buy some time, lock Big out, and obviously with that time, they want to reposition into post plants that are more solid for the late round, because this is about to become chaotic. Limited time left now on this timer as Big swiftly starts to move their way through the site. Jailurst is positioned and wrapped around these boxes. Nanoswarm in play, buying even more crucial seconds here for Surreal. And now Jailurst peeks around the corner. Alfajir luckily takes that one away, and sticking it was Casper. It was the only thing he could really do there, and ends up going down to Jailurst. Really well played in that clutch from Surreal.
Oh, that is the perfect round for Alfajir as well, to highlight like why play a killjoy in this map. You saw it nicely, the lurk, the way that he's getting around utility, and the call as well to go from an aggressive I'm going to hold into kitchens to play more around their ultimates, what they had available. And it was a fantastic start for Big in this position, and it was just that bright spark of Alfajir being able to beat the timing on the Eldron and get 2 kills for it.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Is now the first round for Surreal collected. Still the buy for Big, and that Aldron being used up towards B early. We have got Obnox coming up the top with his tour de force, actually just rips apart that drone instead, and that strong position he hoped would have been able to find one ends up costing them, and they've lost an opening player.
Nox needs to be careful here. He doesn't have his TP anymore.
And they're dropping back now.
Aldron is going to get all of the information that they're leaning towards A as well, so Surreal can reset, but that's why God B starts to push up a bit more.
Yeah, well, that wall is going to go up. Resurrection committed towards the back of the ice wall, no problem. Twisting, headshot found with the operator. Now 4v4 as we go 58 seconds left. JJ looking to apply some pressure on that retreat. Couldn't quite connect at the heels, and now Twisting is striking into life. He's just picking up everything and sets up God B, who nearly recovers for the 3rd kill in the elevated position, but they'll just allow that one to go for Twisted. A lot used up in that round for Surreal, but Big just slapped back.
Yeah, mid-round calls have been so good for this defensive side. Lose that player initially, but the double up setup with that tour de force was so good. Like, seeing Twisted play up aggressively, even the pressure that came in to make Surreal resin a player with Reigns bringing back somebody. It's at this point, like, Big as well know that, look at the ultimates on the right, like J-List having that Viper's Pit. They want to shut down some of these hits before they can get onto a site. So they're preemptive striking as much as possible. Same sort of thing over towards B. Now Bladestorm coming in from Masic is not the best buy to work with, however, for Surreal.
Oh, J-List. Good headshot with the Spectre. That removes Casper. Now the Hunter's Fury charging its way through. Copy removes Rians. Aslan, the victim of the Bladestorm, and Masic looking to add another to that victim tally, but couldn't quite capitalize. Now those blades gone. Look at this wraparound from Obnox, though. Are they going to read the flank? Are they going to be looking for this? They won't.
No.
Oh, knives out for both players, and JJ gets his gun out in time. Oh, Big, that was their chance to win the round. That was their chance to clean it up. And now it's slipped through their fingers, and they have to recover what is going to be the A site take. And Masic is looking to remove another player. It's all got B, and he's even spotted out up towards Heaven. He's just stuck in such a difficult position.
There's this weird isolated battle happening over towards B with the two jets, and that's because Twiston has this operator. Masic will want to take it out of his hands and does so. Now got B last alive in a 1 versus 4. Needs to be careful of that flank now with the jet.
Yeah, obviously the save call already. So, can't win this round. The Viper's pit up and started the site. At this point, he's just worried about getting flanked and doesn't really know where Masic is. He's about to discover that, or will he?
Oh, no.
Wow, that timing. They cross each other without spotting each other out. So, nonetheless, Gabi is allowed to reposition towards Tube. And it's in their best interest to carry over as many weapons as possible here. Their economy is not great here, it's real, so due to that position that they're in economically, that will allow Gabi the mercy of a save call. J-List was not too far away, but a thrifty round again picked up here for Surreal. They've won too many of these in this series so far.
Yeah, it's also like Big, I guess, not taking these rounds convincingly. Now that they've allowed Surreal into a position again to keep leaning with this, and also gifting Masic an operator to work with on attack, which he's had a lot of success with across various maps. So him versus Twiston now really going to start to shine a bit more. And look at where Twiston is. He's looking to push through Tube and be a bit more aggressive. Robbie's looking to set that up from playing in mid as well. Find nothing, however, but they're going to hear that owl drone, and a pincer in behind. It's just a turret that's watching for Surreal. But now Twiston's watching his cross. They know that pretty much everybody from Surreal is going to be towards B.
Yeah, and even if they try and fall back, that's watch. So yeah, this is the full commitment. And the swing up from Obnox, it's good for one. He's able to rendezvous out quick enough. So advantage picked up here, no problem for Big. They can't stop the spike from going down, but they can certainly find kills and make this retake easier. Masic, the next victim of play for B. That Bladestorm being popped forward Twisted as he now drags his way back in to the site. Surreal are trying to play this post plant from afar, but closing down the ground now we're Big, and another kill found for Twisted. That defuse being tapped, and that is going to be the panic stations now being picked up. The Hunter's Fury trying to apply some pressure yet again. It hasn't really done a whole lot. JJ, one last blast of it. Can't do much about it as they hunt him down. They remove him, and Big, they lose a single player in their round win.
It was so clean. It's Twiston that goes down, and Casper's there to pick up the operator anyway. So really not that much loss considering the Bladestorm was also dedicated. And Surreal, it sort of felt within the first 30 seconds it was checkmate. It really felt that Surreal had to try and push on a bit more aggressively. Of course, they don't know that they're going to be crunched in behind, that Twiston has all of that information. But now I'm curious because it looks like Big are going to make the same play again. I mean, why not? They didn't know that Twiston actually pushed up with the operator. You can go for it this time. And Surreal might end up in the same prickly position as they were last time, because they're all heading towards B, and Twiston's now watching the cross. The difference is you don't have Obnox getting that first kill. He's not in an aggressive position this time. Now Fischer's been farming up these lockdowns quite nicely.
Well, the walls go up, and they go down very quickly, and the aggression of Obnox. It's worked out for 2 kills, finally put in the ground by Masic, but his damage is already done in this round. It is already felt at the hands of Surreal. Spike
they've gone
recovered, but the
behind.
flank is in, and now they're just completely contained in this position. They're trapped, Ryan.
They smoked the turret, so I think they managed to actually sneak by perfectly fine. Oh no, because Killjoy's dead, that's why I'm dumb. So never mind. It's because it was something that they did the other day. Like, Zelf did a whole little post about it. But yeah, like, this is a crunch that now Surreal need to expect. And with the spike not planted, they can just sit pretty.
Yeah, Gobi's done very well there to the headshot. Jailers is out of there. Now just 2 plays left for Surreal. They're trying to skirmish and battle a Gobi spot towards Snowman, but here comes that flank. We had to keep eyes on it, and for good reason, from every angle, even above, the victims will have to fight. And unfortunately for Surreal, they won't be able to climb over that hurdle. It is going to be big, taking 6 rounds, and yes, they've lost some scrappy affairs, but for the most part, they have looked like the far better side on the defensive side of things. And now often there is a conversation around getting a good start in the defensive IceBox. Sometimes that can elude rosters. Sometimes it's very difficult to post that, Ryan.
Yeah, I wonder what the timeout's going to say specifically. I can imagine it's stop stacking B. We're getting crunched really hard. Like, try and fight for the op, sure, but put pressure in other places. But yeah, it's kind of like you said, like, there's so much going on with, like, Twiston's now very much diffing the enemy jet with Masic, the operators being comfortable, the economy's comfortable enough that even if Twiston loses it, he can buy another one and might be set for the rest of this half, right? So Surreal now have a lot of work to do. And with there being no, like, flashes like a KO or any utility to really scare a jet off an angle with an operator, Surreal are kind of like opening themselves up to the elements a little bit, which, you know, is touch and go to say the very least. And the only bits of success that we've seen from Surreal have been like AlphaGear finding a nice mid lurk. But because Big's been so good at shutting that down with Twister playing it with the operator, he's found very little. This time it's a change up though. Twiston gonna try and aggress over towards A. Expecting like a lockdown play now that the lockdown's available.
A little bit more of an advanced setup yet again. Look at this push through B. This is so aggressive for Big. They're getting so much info already and so much control. Surreal are ready. They already know where they're coming from. This is the problem. Big are just so ready for what is coming their way. Twiston, nice headshot on towards Masic. Alpha has actually got his way up mid. That was the one area of the map that Big did not control, and somehow they find a chance through it. Well, the rest of the hole should be strong enough to stop any toppling of their defense itself. Jailers down an 8 HP, finished off by a stray bullet. 7-2 now. Big happy to pick this one up. And now we're getting into the territory with Surreal. It's starting to look really difficult to see a good start in this best of 5, and I'm starting to feel a little worried for them, Ryan.
On their pick, and with Fracture coming up as well, which is something that we really don't see Surreal play.
Yes, and tactically speaking, especially with the style that we're seeing from Big here on this proactive defense, that's exactly the style of defense you have to use on Fracture. So if Big are comfortable playing this is going to be scary.
Well, it's more the same on like Bind as well, right? It's not that Big had a lot of map control but lost out when it came to these more chaotic situations. Speaking of which, Twiston trying to push up aggressively again with that operator. Masic's bought his own up on the attack. And there is plenty to work with Surreal. They need to get that third on the board and they have everything they need to do it.
And they absolutely do have the tools in the shed. Whether or not they're able to use them to great effect is another question. Masic goes down.
The difference is this time Surreal audition to not go lurking as well. They were expecting a lockdown play, and Aslan happy to get the one. The lineup is going to be there for Gobi to even destroy it. So Big reading this round perfectly, and Surreal kind of boxed in. There's not that aggression from other parts of the map for Big. It's a nice opening for JJ. But Big have taken so much map control, they know it's just going to be an 8 hit. All 4 players are here and waiting.
Yeah, this is now Surreal in desperate times. They run out of their big pieces. The lockdown wasn't effective. They do have the wall available and are now 1 away from that res. With that orb being picked up, and now they've got the res. Now they've got it online. Rian's perhaps starting to pop off, maybe carrying his team through, kicking and screaming through this round as he brings Jailers back to his feet. 25 seconds left for Surreal to try and mount this task. They go over the ropes. Res now getting up, knocks back into play as well on the other side of things. It's going to be a heavy numbers end of the round, and Kobe, he's just taken down 2 in a foul swoop as Alfire tries his best to make something of the round for Surreal, but it is so good for Big right now. I brought up a point earlier today in the first few moments of Bind, Ryan, and it was all about Big really struggling in the chaos. It felt like they weren't settled into the game at all. But now this seems like a Big who have clean comms, are very aware of what the possibility of what Surreal are going to be able to pull off in a round. You've seen that with what you pointed out, the destruction of the lockdown, the control they're getting. Big are locked in right now. They are so honed in on this map. Every move, they're reading for Surreal.
There was a lot of like break glass for emergency ultimates brought in with the Viper's Pit and the Resurrect, but that's because Big's ult economy is so good for the rest of this, and that is a must-win round for them to keep control of this. The buy for Surreal now isn't that great, and they're trying to scale up aggressively on this B main spot. So the force is coming in from the chamber, and he's just keeping an eye. Bladestorm going to be dedicated, and it is the only kill that comes in for Masic and Surreal so far, but it's instantly traded from Obnox.
Yeah, this is systematic destruction now for Big. This is much more like it. When we talk German efficiency, this is what we mean. Well, at least in theory. In practice, I'm sure Zedge can attest, doesn't always work out that way.
I'm a little bit maybe concerned about what Big can do on their attack, but this is a map that they've looked really good on with this comp change-up with Obnox playing over on the chamber. It's just a case of like needing to see it a bit more, and Fracture yesterday against Fokus, considering they're a very Fracture-heavy team, looked decent, all things considered. So Surreal, yeah, looking a bit down in the dumps at this point. Bring on a 9-3 curse, but what they got to work with, just that Viper's Pit that requires them to get in on the site, which is one of the biggest aspects they've struggled with. Losing Rians, it makes it just go from bad to worse. Twiston has been on fire with his ult.
Yeah, it really has been. OP is going to try and spot out the pressure that is being exerted by Surreal once again to try and challenge down this A site. Has got a bit of sting to this one, actually. Masic was hunting down the defensive setup, but now Jailers just sent out his Viper's Pit. The Hunter's Fury coming in immediately as a response to try and clear it out, but hasn't actually been able to find that Viper. And now the Odin's turn to try and lie down some suppressing fire through it, but Alfire has found two heads. One of them, unfortunately, the other side of things has been his teammate is out of that. And now Casper stepping in for Big. It's just down to one player. It's Alfire, and what can he do about this? He's trying to get it done. He's trying to fight this one, but the defuse is being held, and Casper swings to close. It's 10-2 at the half for Big, and this is turning into a one-sided affair. Well, it has been this entire first half.
I guess when you're looking at a best of 5-2, Surreal, it took them a while to find the map that they were best on in promotions. Their map pick for like the group stages constantly changed. It flirted with various different ones. And this is the one that Surreal landed on. This was their ace in the hole when it comes to some of these plays. The fact that they're 10-2 down on this first half is really concerning, but maybe their defense can really start to sing. Alfashir, again, terrific performances he's been able to put on this map. He's, you know, currently 11 for 11, but everybody else lacking behind. And Twiston 15-6. It is an astronomical performance, and what a time for him to show up as well. Like, he really gets to take the reins on one of these guys' most pivotal games.
Yeah.
Probably the other one was qualifying for stage 1 in the first place. Now this can lock him in for stage 2.
Well, I will say, Ryan, there has been a lot of issues on the side of Surreal, most in-game, but now we've unfortunately got a few of them outside of the game. There were some audio issues, so that's why we've got a tech pause here, but we can get that resolved as quickly as possible and get back into play for this second half. It's always good maybe to have a little mental reset, if at all, here for Surreal, because that first half was desperate, to say the least. And it's good to see Twiston back on top. You know, this is a player that I love watching, personally. And sometimes can be a bit mental and kind of bend your brain a little bit, but when it's working out, I think he's incredible to watch, and has got that ability to take over the server.
Yeah, he's the bright spark. It has been nice to watch Masic come out of nowhere, really. I mean, Turkish Jets are a dime a dozen, but they seem to always be able to pop off, and Masic is another name to that list. He's been fantastic, really.
Yeah, we heard Sam talking about that earlier on the desk, how much he's been loving Masic's performances here so far.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes into its own when things start to look rough, and this is the roughest it's looked for Surreal in a while. So what is that response going to be? This is a map that Surreal picked but haven't had the best of luck on. Had some dominant losses to Rebels and the like on a couple occasions now in this tournament. The Rebels isn't here. Surreal is the one that still lives on so far, and Twiston, the Sheriff is the buy for him. Trying to leak towards B, and that's where this site hit's going to come in. Everybody from Surreal is here to expect it, however. The Big need to bring out something pretty strong in order to get through onto the site.
And what have they got up their sleeve for this pistol? Here comes the screen. You see over the top of it here, this fight is going to work out for Masic. Brings down Twistin on the other side of things, and Jailers right through the toxic screen has denied that plant. And now it is panic stations for Big in this pistol. It would have been a far better situation to have the spike down in this spot, but unfortunately they're going to have to fight an uphill battle. And Obnox and GodB are the two players left to do it.
Not enough time to reset either, so they have to go towards this B site. Maybe trying to bait that they can rotate over in time, but this is still being keenly watched. Alphagier on the high ground over on Bridge is going to be the first spot, and Obnox can't get anything that time. Nice clear up from the Killjoy.
That's great.
It had to be a must-win pistol for Surreal.
Yeah, I think that, you know, picking up this round gives them at least a chance to make the scoreline respectable. Maybe can weasel their way through to a potential comeback, but yeah, absolutely. If that one was lost, feels like the entire map is gone. And reverse sweeps very rarely happen in best of fives. It's just a real difficult challenge, both mentally and physically, to pull off. Best of fives are marathons, a true test of determination, focus, longevity, and endurance. Really, you know, it's hard to play best of five, especially when you're down 2 maps to 0. So Surreal, we're gonna try and pull this one off. It's quick here for Big, and actually it slipped around the backside, and that has worked out. Twistin has found the first, and Masic the victim.
Another one! Yeah, he's able to get in before the Sage Wall comes up. He still hasn't been able to upgrade, but he's just playing on these close quarters, and it's creating so much space for Big here.
Dude, if he finds anything more with this, it is ridiculous. Luckily, Rience will start to help, or rather, Aslan will start to help out. A couple of kills are coming through for Surreal to drop the numbers a bit, but Jailers, of course, slips on by. GodB looking the wrong way. Now it's a shorty going in for a risk play, and I love the attempt, but unlikely to work out. And now it is Aslan into the clutch. He's actually found that headshot on Jailer, so puts it down into the 1v1. It looks for the shot in the Sheriff, but couldn't quite land it. Alfire will at least steer his team in the right direction for at least a moment longer, but that could have been an absolute disaster at the start of the second half, Ryan.
I mean, it still was.
It still, yeah, it still was.
Surreal had bought up stuff like Phantoms and stuff. This wasn't like just buying like a Spectre or just holding on to the Ghost that you had. They bought up. Luckily, the buy is still there, but look at what you're missing. Jailers, he won't have a Poison Cloud, I don't think, unless he set it down, which I don't think he has at this point. He's just moved into position. No snake bites, very little for Masic to work with. He's half armor and the operator, and it finds what it needs to. That first kill onto Aslan.
Yeah, and Aslan going down is a huge player to lose. He had a lot of impact on map 1 and certainly have impact for Big on this attacking side. So see how Big are able to respond, being a player down with no real fallback plan, right? They can't go anywhere else. They don't have a lurk anywhere, so they've now lost that. They're fully committed towards this, and Twistin down low on health. Plant is coming through. Twistin's tasked to trying to hold off and protect his teammate, and now that will go down. He has to try and drop back, and luckily will get behind the corner. Masic's quick shot not landing.
Twistin on the high ground. Is Masic going to peek up there to begin with? It looks like he's looking up, but this is a bit of a closer corner angle. Big trying to play on these little crossfires, but so far it's not working. 3 versus 5.
Yeah, 3v5, Big in a real tough spot, and now just a single player left, and the defuse is around the other side of that wall. There's nothing Obnox can do about this. Surreal have 5 rounds. They survived the nightmare that could have possibly been set up, and Obnox will close with 2 kills, but nonetheless, it is a 5th round for Surreal.
I'd say that that's been my biggest gripe with Big so far, is like we sort of set it up as like, all right, Surreal are not in a good position because they bought up and they were punished. But Big in that round couldn't capitalize. You have Masic, not really too much utility or armor to work with, as the operator, and in a position where Big get caught out by it. Of course, it's going to be a pretty big surprise that there is going to be this operator coming out instantly from Surreal and peeking him in mid. But I think that's sort of the difference between where Big are and like the tier 1 teams of EMEA. Those minor mistakes for teams get punished. Big have not really been able to do that consistently, I'd say. It's fine, they still have some form of buy coming in. Obnox with that Vandal, 1 away from a tour de force. be the difference maker here. And Twisted with the Sheriff, well, he's always a bit of a rascal. He's now made so much space for his team already and looked up quite nicely.
Yeah, this is a little worrying for Surreal, given the fact that Big actually have a lot of ground. They can put that spike down, and given the Twisted is playing in towards hell, he might be able to reap some reward from his spot. But somehow, I didn't quite see how they could have got B, but they have, and that's denied
just
the save plan.
You usually put the Sage wall there, and that's something that Big didn't have at the moment. Masic finds that opening with the operator.
Wow.
Nobody's checked Twist, and he's actually able to get so much here. It's awkward because of that smoke that comes in, and it's just going to be the one for him. The one kill that comes in for Big with that low buy round. But it's fine. They still have a good amount of a lead, a full buy coming in, and fair few ultimates online too.
Yeah, I mean, not as many expectations on it for Big, and able to still get something. So now we're looking at 6 rounds for Surreal. They've got ultimates online as well, and they've also got momentum now on their side. For Big, they did struggle on the attacking side over on Bind a bit, right? So this could get a little rough.
Yeah, and it's just a lot harder to attack on IceBox, right? Because it seems to be, you want to go to B, you need to set up a real nice play or use ultimates. A, it can just be a bit of a duel fest, and up against Surreal, well, 5 Turkish players, all of which having Vandals and an operator. Good luck. The Force is going to be activated as well as the Blade Storm, I think, on the attacking side. Plus, Masic's brought it out instead, but realistically, you're looking to buy. Twisted with a Judge, Blade Storm likely to be activated. Nasdaq wasting no time to try and lurk on through, but it is being watched by JJ even. It's relatively close in that elbow spot.
The Big are just waiting for a chance. But Masic is holding for the Blade Storm. He knows its likely tendency is to come from the elevated position, but the screen goes up, and that prevents Masic from spotting out his essential information. Aslan trying to come up through the troop to Kitchen, but God B has been found yet again.
I think that was a set play as well. Like Twiston updrafted to maybe be a bit of bait and allow God B for the peak, but Masic did buy into it. Aslan's looked up quite nicely, and the operator is now moved over to Kitchen.
Well, this is absolutely huge. If Aslan can remove at least one of these players, but there is 2 around that corner.
And there's Rains there. Saw the bullet fire out as he hopped down to not give an audio cue, but visual one is everything Aslan needs, yeah. And moving him away because this is a great position for Aslan to be in. And he also has his ult. If he can ult in Kitchen,
30 seconds
he
left.
needs to kill Rian's here, though.
Yeah, and this fight, this means everything. This fight is everything in Rian's position, hard to beat. That will end up being Aslan going down. The Patience game goes in favor of Surreal. Now the charge forward. Casper quick to send the wall up to prevent that easy rotation back in. Lockdown has been put out for Surreal on 11 seconds left. The spike needs to go down, and Rian's had the angle to deal with it. It is now falling apart for Big. It's down just Obnox, and he is invested into the tour de force, but he's having to deal with so many fights. Hits one on JJ, but that is the only one he will find. 7 rounds for Surreal. Big out of answers, and things looking a little rough.
Yeah, just trying to throw stuff at the wall. Some instincts on what they could do to try and fight the operator. And this is going to come at no surprise, right? Big only dedicating the Blade Storm and the Tour de Force in that one, and have plenty to work with. Like, you could definitely see the makings of Big using that Viper toxic screen in Kitchen, using it to plant on the high ground. Really sort of takes Masic's operator out of the game. But Rian's watching that angle. It was so pivotal. He's not got that many kills, but he always finds impact, and I'm pretty sure all 7 of those kills have found impact for Surreal. He has his Resurrect and J-List with a Viper's Pit himself. There is a buy likely to still come in here for Big. There is some money to go with. They just haven't because of the timeout that's come in from the coach. And I feel like it gets to a point that if Big end up losing this next round, if they buy at the very least, things are really starting to pull into Surreal's direction. And they were 10-2 down at the half. Last 5 have been all Surreal.
Placing swarm grenade.
Imagine the pistol goes the other way. It could be done already. It could be 2-0 up in this final, and you wouldn't even know. The Surreal had this in them in this defensive half.
Never phased, are they?
No, never.
This is what they do. It's
yeah,
just what they do.
It is what they do, Ryan. You brought that up before. The fact that you never really know, even if they are down 2 maps, you can never count Surreal out of this. Oh, a quicker stance there from Twistin, trying to get charged forward, but just couldn't even get on the other side of that Sage wall. And now really stuck in a tough spot. We'll see how Big can battle their way through it.
They have to clear all of the wall because of the up angles that it creates, and it's allowed so much time for Surreal to actually rotate and get that flank on. Like you said, that opening comes in onto Al-Fajir, and now still Big do have a lot to work with, but there's so many different crossfires set up, and Masic's here with the operator watching towards Jenny and actually watching close. This could catch a lot of players off, especially Twistin. He's on the high ground.
The Viper's pick going to be invested into here for Big, showing signs of their commitment forward. Recon Ball has connected onto a couple as re-ends. JJ will take 2 kills between them, and it's all falling. JJ's having an absolute nightmare round for Big. He has shut down their attack forward. Big used so much into that, and still didn't even gain any ground.
Rians gets so much there, but it's also the recon dart that comes in for JJ that pulls his players. And you saw it with Aslan, where that Viper's pick came in. It wasn't purely on site. It was a very safe, like just as you're getting through past where the orb is, that's where the Viper's pit was dedicated. So it was one of these cases where like Big were playing that super safe, and Surreal with that high line, that high pressure was still able to shut it down. That should be a plant at the least from Big, and they weren't even able to do that.
Well, Twistin, he's done. He is so sick of being stuck behind this wall. He's decided just to shoot his way through it and gain some control. They are hitting their head off a brick wall right now, Big, as they repeatedly try and take this ace fight. They're actually going to manage it. They will at least get a position taken, but they're actually dropping back.
Yeah, it's forced them to reset because of the space of Twistin's being able to take down and show what's clear and what isn't. So in that time, the Surreal is going to have to re-clear some of these angles over on that A site to find where Twistin is. The rest of Big are heading towards B. And if Jailus gets the spot, which he should do from the Eldron, the rotate's going to come in for Surreal. And it might just allow Twistin some space to actually go in for a bit of a flank here. It depends on how much Big could do towards that B side. Like, they're clearing it nicely. But look, Rians, again, is that deciding factor. If he takes out Twistin, again, it's around the Big are going to lose.
Well, Aslan, lovely shot
30 seconds
on the Sheriff. Alpha here goes down, and Masic will trade out, and just like that, in the blink of an eye, 3 kills to come in for Surreal. Big just down to 2, and it's a shooting gallery net right now for the defensive side of Surreal. They are now at 9 rounds, and 1 single round separates the scoreline from a 10-2 half to 10-9. Just like that, Big have crumbled.
Masic is maxed out on cash as well. So it means pretty much at this point, even if Big are able to pull it to 12, the Masic's still got the operator in hand. So it's made the world of difference. He's starting to snowball up, and it's looking very good for the side of Surreal. A Big out of ideas, really. Trying to punch their way in. Twistin found a lot of space, but Rian's watching that position, gets the kill and catches them out. Now 3 players, 2 of which pushing very aggressively towards A. Obnox needs to be careful because Masic pushed all the way up till Belt, and he's still actually pushing on past pipes here. That's a lot of space garnered for Surreal over on the A side, and Big kind of forced to go over towards B, where there's a Viper's pit. This is lovely play from Surreal on this defense.
Yeah, for Big, it just keeps getting more difficult, doesn't it? Here comes that Hunter's Fury, at least trying to remove Jailers. They should be able to do so. Jailers will get tagged up and will get taken out. Scorpy happily taking that, and Twistin gaining some ground and removing the lives of Rian. So now it is looking very good for Big to take 11. They have turned this into a solid position.
Just a play for Twistin to be aggressive, to push out. Lightstorm is even going to be brought in over... I thought I heard it for a second, but I'm going mad, I think. The diver team's ready. Casper does have that res, right? That's the ultimates to go with. And now the plan needs to be diffused. It's out in the open. Twistin watching this keenly.
Wow. Yeah, Twistin's been looking for these positions, looking for himself to get into spots where he can deliver mighty impact, and it will be mighty. In fact, it is flawless for Big as they finally find their first round of the second half.
I swear I heard Jet's audio. Like, I'm good mental, I swear. I was like, wait, they used it? No, they don't have it. What on earth? But yeah, now it's a case where like Big looking awkward now, not only pick up their first round on the attack, but do so flawlessly. And it did look in a position where like Surreal had set themselves up nicely to make it difficult, but the Hunter's Fury catches Jailust. sort of in between the site and orange. He's in a difficult position where really there was no information gathered that he was going to be in that spot. But the operator now pushing up in mid off the back of this ult run. Big need to be very careful. Aslan, he still manages to survive. Masic's going to go in for the repeat, but the snakebite stops him. He's trying to get the wall bang. He's just not letting on.
Oh, well, Masic, I don't know how he's still alive, but I like the commitment, you know? When you set out for something, lose to achieve it, and nearly ends up getting killed. But he'll get healed on up. 1:05 seconds left. Take a look at Obnox's position. He's getting the good bit of control towards A, and watch how this forces that rotation of an extra player for Surreal. They have to put more attention on A, and that creates an opening towards B for Big.
JJ's not giving up this spot, though. He knows that Aslan is very good at finding these lurk positions. He's clearing these angles quite nicely and found the gap. There's no utility towards Kitchen to see if he's crossed there at all. So Rian's, again, remember this? Seems to be the same exact play.
Yes, Rian's taking position on the other side of the railing this time, though. 30 seconds left. Throwing the slow orb and Spike committed too. So difference is this time Spike is already down, and so Aslan is going to have the element of surprise, at least on the JJ, but now Masic knows exactly where he is, and how to deal with him is another question. Jailer's playing from Snowman. Big has so much control of the site. Now they have all the kills. It is just down to Alpha here and Masic, and you know, winning this round with Aslan on the flank. He's on the prowl. Becomes even more difficult, but he's actually missed that timing. That could be the little push forward into the site they need, but Aslan tracking the operator. That's the weapon you want to remove. That's the big gun gone, and the other one falls. Flawless yet again for Big. Back to back. 12 rounds and 1 away now for closing out IceBox and sending themselves 2-0 here in the best of 5. 1 map away from taking their spot back in VCT.
Yeah, it's odd, right? That just Big in these last 2 rounds have been a lot more clinical, and both of which are flawless. Different approaches, yes, both went over towards that B site, but a lot of that was just down to Aslan, and maybe Masic caught out by being a bit too aggro, being in these spots where he's going to get like traded out or can't take that space initially. He's going for that same open angle he started this half with, and Aslan, he's learned from it, and in fact his adjustment in this mid position on the Viper has been stellar. He don't know that he's here, but Basic still could take a timing. He's over and over it, and he does catch onto Aslan this time. It means that toxic screen's not down towards B, but Big is still dedicating over towards that spot, and Masic's there instantly.
Yeah, Masic being very dynamic here, rotating in from middle to deal with this B side, the attack forward for Big yet again. There's no secret they favored this side of the map already. Masic now holds.
Here.
I saw an arm.
He just spotted a little bit of an arm and able to swing tonight. The access to the plant and got beat only 1 before hitting the attack himself. So not going to be close likely here for Big, especially that spike down towards B at Obnox on the other side of the map.
He's trying to pull the attention away, and the spike's being picked up. There's 45 seconds, and he's still going.
Yes, Alpha here is about to fall. No problem. Obnox has pulled it back. Can he find that follow-up? He will! Obnox catches another spike, tries to cross, and the Blade Storm for the headshot. That is the way Big close it. A ridiculous finish to this map. A 13-9 win, right? They are now up 2-0 in this best of 5.